this video, I am going to walk you through all the necessary steps and all the requirements that as a farmer you will need to adhere to in order to have that bountiful harvest at the end of the season. So watch this video to the end, and since you are already here, please kindly subscribe to this channel so that we can grow together. Now, depending on where you stay, your climatic condition may differ, may vary. Like in Nigeria here, our climatic condition range from the tropical in the south and then the arid up north. As a farmer, you have to know what type of crop you want to cultivate, then you know the region that you want to cultivate those plants in. You can switch regions, it depends on you, it depends on your capability, but knowing the region and knowing the type of crop that suits which region is actually very important. In all you do as a farmer, remember that there are factors that are beyond your control as a farmer, such as amount of rainfall, sunlight, and sometimes even natural disaster. But all of these challenges should not discourage you. So let us go through what we have to do in order to ensure good harvest at the end of the season. Firstly, land preparation. This is the first thing as a farmer that you must do. You need to have a land to prepare it. You may want to farm a small scale for your own personal consumption, or you may want to go for a more bigger or commercial scale if you intend on converting whatever it is that you produce in the farm to other products, or you want to sell. No matter your intended scale, land preparation is very, very important. Now, some farmers prepare their lands immediately after their previous harvest, whereas some prepare their land immediately the rain commences. It does not matter when you choose to prepare your land, as long as you do it on time for planting. Now, land preparation can include clearing up of shrubs, grasses, stalks from previous harvests. Some burn their bushes, for those that want potassium-rich soil, they burn their bushes. Livestock waste such as cattle dung and chicken waste can be spread on the land. This will serve as organic manure and provide additional nutrients to the soil, which will be absorbed by the plants or by the crop you are planning to cultivate in your land. The second thing that you need to do as a farmer is the selection of your seed. Now, it is very important to note that quality seed and meticulous farming practices are the secret to bountiful harvest. Don't just go to your local market and purchase any seed that you find. No. Source your seed from reputable agro agencies. And if you are on a budget, you can source from local farmers around you. Most farmers, especially those living in rural communities, always keep seeds for planting. So ensure that your seeds are available and are of high quality. Now, the third step is land tillage. Rural and small-scale farmers mostly use manual labor to till the soil. Now, this method may work for them, especially those that are on a budget or those that can't afford mechanized systems or mechanized services. But this can be time-consuming and sometimes capital-intensive. If your aim is to farm on a large scale, large acres or plenty hectares of land, hiring a professional tractor operator to till your land is not only cost-effective, but also time-saving. Now, a properly tilled soil will ensure that the soil is loose, from its compacted state. It improves drainage, it aerates the soil, and it can even disrupt pest life cycles in your farm. After tilling your land, the next step is planting. For your crops to sprout successfully, you have to plant them in the right time. Now, you as a farmer will need to ensure that your planting time aligns with when the rain has fully commenced. Now, some, but not all the crop require nursery in order to germinate. They have to germinate in the nursery bed before you can transplant them to the field or to your farmland. Whatever it is, you have to ensure that you time your planting properly. Now, when planting, ensure that you apply effective spacing. Ensure that the seeds per hole are right for the particular crop that you want to cultivate. Doing so will avoid competition, overcrowding, competition for space, and competition for nutrient, and competition for sunlight. And also, if you are interested or you want to intercrop your plants, make sure, and this is very important, make sure that the seeds or the plants you are intercropping with are compatible. This will avoid unnecessary competition for nutrient, space, and other vital nutrition. So please ensure that the crops you are intercropping with are compatible. Now, after you've planted your crop, the next thing you have to do is maintenance. Now, maintenance is very vital to how successful your farm will be, how successful your season will be. You can maintain your crop by controlling the weed in your farm. Control the weed by spraying herbicides, and also never allow your weeds to get out of control. If your weeds get out of control, they are going to suffocate your main crops, which will die. Main crops are actually more fragile than the weeds. Weeds are very tough and they can suffocate your plant easily. They will tap in all the necessary nutrients that belong to your crop. So ensure that your weed, or the weeds rather, in your farm doesn't get out of control. You can also maintain your crops by controlling pests. Now, to control pests in your farm, ensure that you use appropriate pesticides in your farm. Spray your farm with pesticides. And also you can practice crop rotation. Crop rotation always disrupts the life cycle of pests in your farm. So it is a very good thing to practice crop rotation in a farm. The next step is fertilizer application. Know the right time and stage to apply your fertilizer based on the type of crop you will be cultivating. Now, do not be a stingy farmer. Don't be stingy with your fertilizer. Ensure that you give your plants the sufficient nutrient they require. Just like you human beings, we need sufficient nutrient in our system in order to be active, in order to thrive, in order to grow. So also does your crop. Ensure that you know which fertilizer to apply for which crop, and also the stages you are supposed to apply them, and also the quantity, the amount of fertilizer you need to apply at that particular stage. If you are not sure of the type of fertilizer you have to apply, or the quantity of fertilizer you are supposed to apply on your crops, you can consult your local agro stores, or you can also consult the local farmers around you. They have tons of experience, years of experience in farming. They can never go wrong. I assure you of that. They will always come through for you. Another thing to note is that some crops will actually need support when they are growing. Before they reach their maturity, crops that have vines such as yams and some species of beans, they will need support. So you have to properly stake them, and give them the proper platform they need so that they will thrive, so that they will grow well, so that they will mature well. Now, the last stage I want to talk about here is the harvest stage. Now, before the harvest, definitely you have to go around your farm, once in a while. You have to check for deficiencies. You have to check whether you need to maintain them through weeding, through pest control and other things. You have to check whether they need more nutrients. There are a lot of things that I couldn't cover within this short video because I wanted to make it as short as possible. But in all, those steps that I gave are necessary, are basic, to achieve what you aim to achieve in your farm. So the last step here is actually the harvest step. This is the stage where all the hard work should pay off. Once crop have reached full maturity, they are ready for harvest. Now, maturity varies between crop to crop. No two crop mature the same period. For instance, now maize takes about 80 to 120 days to reach its full maturity. Yeah, I think maize takes about 80 to 120 days depending on the variety that you are planting, and cassava takes about 8 to 12 months. You see, almost a year, depending also on the variety that you are planting. So no two crops have the same maturity period, but once your crop have reached maturity, they are ready for harvest. If you don't harvest your crops at maturity, they may get damaged. Yes, once they reach maturity stage, it's time for you to harvest them. Harvest them. If not, they will be damaged, maybe by the elements or by pests in the farm, post-harvest pests, or thieves might even steal your crops. Yes, once your crops have reached maturity, ensure that you harvest them. Harvest them, take them home and store them properly. Now, you have to ensure that you are very meticulous about post-harvest practices. Even after harvesting your crops from the farm, you have to ensure that you dry them properly. If it is cereals or other crops that require drying, ensure that you dry them properly before storing them. And some crops are actually perishable, so you have to process them immediately. You can also dry them, or you can sell them immediately, depending on what you want to do, but ensure that you adhere to strict post-harvest procedures. Ensure that while storing your crops, you store them properly. Use quality sacks to store your crops. And also ensure that you store them in very conducive environment, very conducive storage. Protect your crops against post-harvest pests and insects. This is very, very important. You know, Rats and insects can damage your crops. They can render months of hard work to nothing if you don't take appropriate measures to control all these pests. You are going to lose everything that you worked hard for. So as a farmer, you need to control post-harvest pests and insects. There are many ways of controlling post-harvest pests and insects. You can apply the biological method. I personally like the biological method. I have a cat. Cats will help you to chase away all the rats in your house. So rats are one of the major post-harvest pests around. So you have to control that. And also post-harvest insects, you have to apply insecticides in moderation. Ensure that you read instructions from the insecticides manufacturers to know the quality and quantity that you need to apply. Don't over apply insecticides on your crops. If not, some may damage your crop and some will render the crops unfit for consumption. So ensure that all this is being put into consideration also. Now, as a farmer, you need to be very, very patient. No two farming season is the same. Some farming seasons, depending on the rainfall and depending on the sunshine and depending on other conditions, some farmers might yield more in one season than the other. So as a farmer, no two seasons is the same. You have to be patient. If you are impatient, you can't farm. So as a farmer, you need to be patient and you need to apply all the necessary steps that you need to apply on your farm in order to increase your chances of a bountiful harvest.